All right, let's go through your DAF. So you've been in Delhi all your life.
So,
Parents are in civil service,
so,
both parents, and
so,
your marks have been really good. You that tells me that you've been a very good student academically.
Thank you, sir.
Um, you have some background of UP, Rajasthan. Do you consider yourself more like a Delhi person, or have you seen other states and moved around? How's that? Give me a little bit.
So I have been brought up entirely in Delhi. I have
Okay.
never moved out of Delhi as such. My schooling, including my bachelor's, and now my job is also around Delhi. It's in Noida.
Okay.
So I have lived my entire life here. However, I am eager and enthusiastic about going anywhere.
Okay, okay. So, all right, let's start with, right. Okay, you have spent your formative years in Delhi. You've, gone to school, college, job. Your parents are in civil service. So, a lot of these things have eventually led you into this room, right? You're sitting here because, um, you have an interest in civil service. So, give me a sense of your formative years, how they have shaped your thinking, what brings you here today, and what's been your story. Give me a high level couple of minutes of your story. Yeah.
So I had both my parents in civil services, and I saw them since young. So they were always my role models, especially my mother, who used to work in on deputation with NDMC. So she was director education there. Once or twice I visited schools with her, and I really got inspired by the work a civil servant can actually do to bring changes. And that's when I also realized how privileged and fortunate I have been throughout my life. Till today, I hold the same thought where I feel that I have been privileged to be brought up in such an environment in the capital of the country. And it had made me feel that I need to give it back to the society. That is also one of the reasons I joined a CSR consultancy, where I looked into projects which were related to environmental sustainability or some of the other social gender aspects of various projects. So all of this in totality have shaped my inclination towards civil services, where
Mhm.
public service and selfless service in some ways is one of my goals.
Okay. And you have also done your engineering in environment technology, right? Obviously, there is something about environment that um, you've delved into. It's your motivation. It's your. Can you tell me a little bit more? What's the environmental connection? How did that arise? And what all have you explored in environmental? Overall sustainability and all those related topics. Can you give me a little bit?
So when I finished my schooling, um, environment was not the first thing which was in my mind. I had inclination towards mathematics, but when I gave the entrance exam, I was allotted few options among the engineering which were available at my rank. Among them, when I started to delve more, I found the environment aspect very compelling and it attracted me towards it. I felt like doing it, wanted to pursue it, and that's how I chose environment during my graduation. I have done a couple of projects or even a research paper, which is a secondary research on biomedical waste management. Apart from that, I have looked into wastewater and water treatment plants. I was part of a project which made in fact, I was sorry, head of a project which made biosand filters, which are portable filters for smaller localities. Or I made a project in the slums. where we provided drinking water through these biosand filters. So after that, after my college years, I joined Havels as a CSR consultant and continued my endeavor of environment through various projects such as biogas project, plantation drives, where again I used my knowledge from my background of engineering, how teak trees absorb the maximum amount of carbon and are suitable for the Madhya Pradesh environment where we had a project going on. So we shifted from other trees to teak trees for plantation, which started capturing more carbon. So these are a few projects related to environment that I have done.
So do you think India is going through some sort of environmental degradation? What's your view?
So, when any country moves towards a developed path, there are various resource extractions, various energy requirements, which eventually does lead to a degradation of the environment. However, I believe so. India is taking a lot of initiatives on the side where it is trying to restore environment through afforestation drives, through making CSR compulsory. We are one of the first few countries to do that in the world, and making stringent targets for no single use plastic, renewable energy targets, focusing on NDCs, which are announced and which were announced again in COP26. So, yes, there has been degradation, but we are also trying to move towards conserving environment through missions like Mission Life.
Give me some facts like, okay, this is the story, but do the facts tell the same story or the facts tell a different story?
So I believe facts can back it up. As India has almost 40% of its energy coming from renewable energy, and we've made a target for 50% by 2030. There has been allocation of 20,000 crores in green hydrogen, which is again a renewable energy source. The solar energy is on rise since the last decade, and various other such projects showcase the factual aspect of India moving towards a cleaner nation.
Is it 40% is India's, is sustainable or is it renewable? What did you use?
Sorry,
40,
sir. 40.
40% was renewable sources.
Yes, sir.
So how much is coal and gas?
So coal is more than 50%, around 55, more than 55%, sir, I believe. And I'm
Mm.
unsure of gas, sir.
Gas is minuscule or gas is a lot?
I'm sorry, sir. I will have to read about that. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Okay. Now, what, in your opinion, is the biggest environmental problem of the world? Is it now you talked about plastics, you talked about renewable energy. Um, okay, let me fast track. So, climate change is everybody is saying, that's kind of the core, right? So everything leads to climate change. What are the top two reasons why the climate is changing? And what has India done for those top two or three things that affect global climate change?
So the top three things which cause climate change are excessive use of fossil fuels. Second would be deforestation and overexploitation of resources. And third, so, transportation, along with agriculture, animal husbandry, all of these also add to the greenhouse gas emissions, which eventually lead to climate change. Sir, in all the three aspects, India has taken certain steps. For example, in fossil fuel reduction, we are moving towards e-vehicle, hybrid vehicles, promoting renewable energy. Similarly, so for deforestation, we have Campa funds. We are promoting agroforestry and various other afforestation initiatives. And so for animal husbandry and farming, there is a push towards uh, the new technology or climate smart agriculture, but there is a certain lack on that part. And moving forward, India should focus more on climate smart agriculture, where the methane emissions are not as high from these sectors.
What is the methane emission contribution in greenhouse gases? Do you know?
Uh, so the global warming potential of methane is as much as 21 times more than carbon dioxide. So it that's what I understand.
But are we okay? Let's just move to a slightly different topic. Um, so, have you heard of the term climate hypocrisy?
So not exactly, but something
Oh,
like climate denialism.
okay, no, okay, that's slightly different, but that's
I
all. So, I think there is something to be said about India's energy consumption per capita and the global averages and how much energy India consumes and where India gets that energy from, right? Um, Now, how do you put India's role in the changing ecosystem of the world in terms of climate change vis-a-vis role of United States, for example? Right? How do are these two countries doing what they should? Are they saying the right things but not doing the right thing? Give me a comparison of like a country like USA and what its responsibilities and action should be, and a country like India, which is developing, what its can you give me a sense of how they should differ and what they should be doing and whether they're doing that or not?
So, USA is a historical contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions, and as per the UNFCCC principle of common but differentiated responsibility, US has a greater responsibility towards the fight towards climate change. Moreover, sir, US has still one of the largest per capita emission as compared to India. India has around 1.9 gigatons, and US has 14, which is much larger. And I believe so. Moving forward, USA or the developed nations in totality should contribute towards the financial aspects where it could be loss and damage fund, transition funds, the $100 billion which were promised since last many years, and also at the same time provide technology and try to decarbonize the developing nations, including India, where nations are still trying to grow and become a developed state, where there are various other uh, sectors where we have to work apart from climate change, be it poverty, education, healthcare. So US has a greater role as a historical contributor. At the same time, sir, I believe India also being a global leader now, as has been seen, should work towards sustainable development, where we are not over exploiting any resource. Even if there is exploitation or usage, I may say, there should not be an over exploitation of the same resource, and it should be replenished. If not at the same place, somewhere else. There should be proper impact assessments of projects. There should be more stakeholder engagements and a holistic development, which can then be sustainably continued.
Okay. Now, coming back to renewables, um, which renewable do you think has the maximum potential for India's renewable goals? There are many types of renewables, right? Do you have a point of view?
So, India, large part of India falls in the tropics, and almost all of India receives sunlight throughout the year. So I believe solar is one of the most essential renewable energy which India can focus on. It, however, depends largely on the manufacturing capabilities and awareness where people adopt solar. So, if we look into those aspects, I think solar could be the one top renewable energy.
Mm.
Apart from which, wind energy is also a close second.
Okay, let's talk about solar. So, what are the things that so you talked about? India is a sunny country, right? It receives a lot of sunlight. What are the problems? How can we maximize solar in our country? What are the problems we need hurdles in our way that we have to solve for to make this happen? Adoption, you talked about, but more than people getting ready, is there something else here?
There is dependence for solar panels. There were also talks of dust getting settled on solar panels which are installed, as the Indian subcontinent has bigger dust particles. And there are various small tweaks also can alter the solar power, and the grid connectivity is another issue which was pointed out. When there is less sunlight or if it's a rainy season, how would that go, how would that be considered? So these are few issues which come up with solar energy.
Hmm. Grid connectivity, what do you mean by that?
Sir, that the excess solar power is given to the grid, and when there is a lack or deficit, it comes back to the particular provider.
Are you talking about battery technology or
Yes, sir, in a certain sense.
okay, okay. Is there anything to be done in battery technology or do we have everything we need?
Sir, I have limited knowledge, but there needs to be more research and development to make it more, to increase the capacity of the technology that exists.
All right. I think let's just talk about Delhi for a change. You've lived a lot, significant part of your life in Delhi, um, and you are somebody who is keenly seen environment, in a different lens. What are the problems of Delhi? Top three problems for people of Delhi today, in your opinion? What's really making life difficult for the people of Delhi, and what should the government be looking at solving?
One of the issues is congestion, which is an issue which persists throughout the year. Seasonal issue comes up, air pollution, which has a major impact on people living in Delhi and is one of the biggest concerns, in my opinion, being an environment engineer. And thirdly, sir, the water conditions, the water scarcity, the supplies, and even the Yamuna pollution, all of them combined into the water category is also a issue which is eventually becoming more and more talked about with the changes in the water supply and scarcity.
So, obviously, air quality, everyone talks about it. It's covered in great depths in our newspapers, media. You must have delved into that topic. My question is slightly different. I think everyone now knows the reason why it is happening, but why do you think it is not getting solved? Like, we have solutions. Yeah, I'm sure, like, there are, based on the person you ask and the time of the day, you'll have different solutions thrown at you. And I'm sure they have all some level of efficacy. But what is it? Why are we not able to solve this problem? Where are we going wrong?
Sir, I believe there have been certain lacks which are seen at the ground level, where the stubble is to be collected, or the transition towards greener transportation is a bit slow. So all of these combined, if we talk about stubble collection and then taking it to the ethanol factories or to various other either manure making areas, or to certain startups which are working, there needs to be a streamed logistics. That is where the problem is arising, and it becomes easier for a farmer to just light it and put fire on it. So, and even various other initiatives such as Happy Seeder, which is an expensive technology and not all farmers can afford it. So for that, I believe the village or a resource center can be created at village levels, where there is one or two Happy Seeders which goes around and does the work in uh, various farm fields. And similarly, sir, for the Pusa decomposer to work, there can be initiative from locals who are trained to use it, and then they go and do farming as a service, as they just put it
Yeah, no,
and
no, I
teach
get
people
it.
that.
I think you're again talking about solutions, right? I'm
So
asking you that why are these solutions in place not working? What is missing? Something is missing here, right? Like you said, we know there is public-private partnership needed. There is involvement of startups. There is logistics. There is many things. There is the odd even thing that the government does for vehicle pollution. They have put on these big fans and the humidifiers at a industrial scale to get the. But what is it? I mean, is it like unsolvable, or is it like beyond India, or why are these things not working?
I would not say, sir, that it is unsolvable. There have been issues of air pollution in various countries, such as Beijing, which recently solved it, or the London back in 1900s. But sir, I believe there is a need of comprehensive policy where every step is streamlined, and then it is monitored, reviewed. Any shortcomings are then tweaked and then reapplied, so that on a mission mode, if we do this, it would be possible. Otherwise, if there are small initiatives here and there, sometimes a comprehensive outlook uh, gets ignored, and that might be the reason that it's not getting solved.
You think we are taking a very tactical approach to solving it, not a comprehensive one?
So,
And any thoughts about where should the accountabilities lie? Who should be like, yeah, government has identified some bodies, institutes have been created to manage air quality, but what is missing again in these institutions? Why are they not being effective?
the enforcement has been not on par despite various bodies being there in place. So, uh, if the enforcement can be looked into, if there are certain powers and which then can penalize, and that penalty is enforced in a just and equitable manner, irrespective of where it is coming from, then I believe that it can be resolved.
Okay, do you have a time frame in mind? Like how long should a problem like this take?
I don't have a time frame, but I do hope it is soon, maybe a couple of years more, and then we streamline it.
Okay, and is Delhi the only government? How are other governments going to be helpful in this? Should we have something bigger, broader than just Delhi solving this issue? Any thoughts?
So since a large part of the air pollution also is because of the stubble burning, apart from the internal industries or vehicular pollution, I do believe the other state governments, say of Haryana, Punjab, or Western of Uttar Pradesh, can also play a role where they encourage usage of more environment-friendly ways of disposing stubble, and a more collaborative approach on that end would definitely help Delhi in resolving this issue.
Okay. Do you think there is some political will that is missing here?
There are always certain political considerations which come into play, but environment as a subject has become so important to a citizen of Delhi that I feel that now eventually it will start to move away from just political considerations. And as it is even making headlines in international news channels and is always like pointed out on top 10 most air polluted country cities. So I believe that for that it will come to a collaboration and cooperation eventually.
So there is a problem with political will or not?
So there have been certain allegations of political will coming
Do you,
into.
do you believe those allegations are true?
Sir, I would have to delve more into the allegations to make a
Okay.
fair judgment.
All right. Fair enough. So now let's talk about urbanization. You talked, I think you have done, you said some projects on wastewater management and other related areas. Um, if you were an urban planner, okay, and you were given 100 rupees to spend on redesigning a city, let's say Delhi, okay, 100 rupees is just like a percentage thing. So you give me a sense like what percentage or how much money will you spend on um, out of 100 on the waste management, and where will you spend it and how will you spend that money?
So if I may seek clarity, the 100 rupees is
Is your
just for
overall urban
having.
planning and execution budget. Okay.
So,
So everybody is saying, okay, Delhi is going through so much issues in Yamuna pollution and air pollution or whatnot, right? So I think, um, and we're not dealing with waste. There's piles of waste in our Delhi Faridabad border, whatever it is, right? So I think you are given 100 rupees as an urban planner. How much of it will you spend on waste management, and where will that money go in waste management?
sir, considering the large amount of waste and different varieties which is generated in Delhi, I would spend around 35%, even 40 to waste management. It would go on various levels. Firstly, for the segregation part, where there would be campaigns as well as new vehicles for segregating as and also incorporating the waste pickers into the formalized setup of segregation of waste, as I believe that is one of the most essential part of waste management. Thereafter, sir, I would utilize some of it in the collection, transportation, and making them reach the right place of disposal. At the place of disposal, I would encourage making more waste to energy plants, check where the recyclable materials can be sent to, and I would streamline that process. Apart from that, sir, the waste to energy, whatever the incinerated part would come from that, I would dispose it off in a landfill and then check into the sanitary aspects of that. Moreover, sir, coming to wastewater management, we would need more and more treatment plants eventually with the rising population. So some of the money would be allocated for newer wastewater treatment as well as water treatment plants, which provides clean water to households and industries. So that would be the second aspect of it. So thirdly, I would look into the Yamuna conservation, the riverside development, maintaining an ecological flow of Yamuna, cleaning through bioremediation or checking where the undirected sewage is coming from, if there are certain leakages in pipelines, so that can be refurbished. So these are few areas where I would spend the money
Okay. Can you give me some examples of good waste management work in India that has, in urban India, that you were impressed with? And I'm talking large scale, which is like, significantly changing the reality for a city.
So I've read about various cities such as Indore, Surat, and even Alappi, which have great waste management. But I have not completely delved into how they are managing it. But they have been reported, they have been continuously projected as the best in the country, where there is very low toxicity as well as scale of waste generation. That is, they compact whatever waste is being created. These are few examples that come to my mind.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's just move a little bit to overall India's development and how the last few years have gone. We all know that we are going to be, a third largest economy or a huge potential in terms of our GDP growth. Ananya, what do you think about
Uh, Sorry,
the?
sir.
Can
There
you?
was some disturbance. I couldn't hear you, sir.
Okay, I'll say it again. So, we talked, we have all seen the rise of our GDP and, what the fact that we are going to be the third largest economy in some time. Um, Yet there are many things that um, give us a sense that not all is well and good with our economy. So, is GDP a good indicator of the overall health of the economy? What does it not give us? What do you think are the areas where India's economy needs to improve?
So, a growth in GDP doesn't always highlight the inequality aspect, which could also be increasing. There could be more and more wealth generation by the top segment of a particular country. So, for a more inclusive approach, we can see the Human Development Index, where various aspects of human resource is seen, where the human capital is talked about, not only the material capital, so which includes healthcare, education, basic infrastructure such as electricity, roads, water, etc. So these are various aspects which can be monitored and looked into. Are they increasing for the general public or just few sections or few areas? If there is a regional balance, then the country as a whole can be called developed.
And how does India fare in terms of Human Development Index?
So unfortunately, India is not among the highest rankers. I'm not sure of the exact rank of the recent report, and there is a lot to be done, especially on the health and various basic infrastructure as well as education. So though
So
there are, sorry,
it's not in the high highs, but is it in ballpark? Is it in average or is it low? Or I know you don't know the exact, but can you give me a sense where we
sure,
are?
it is the lower end of the average, not at the bottom most,
Mhm.
but yes. So
Okay. So you talked about other things, you know, you kind of went into the socio-economic angle and overall benefit of the people, which is obviously a broader topic. But within economy, if you just purely set aside social factors for a second, you talked about inequality. That was good. What is the situation of inequality in India? Is it increasing, decreasing? What's happening?
So various reports have pointed out that inequality since the COVID has increased in India. Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, keep going.
I'm not sure of the exact data, sir. I will have to check. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right. What about any other factors that the GDP doesn't provide details on beyond inequality? Economic factors. Social, definitely. I agree with you.
So in economic terms, it doesn't talk about all the sectors of economy. It a GDP could be growing only because of a tertiary sector or just because of a manufacturing being a manufacturing powerhouse. So it doesn't tell us about whether all the sectors are doing equally well, whether the distribution of human resource in each sector is equivalent to the produce or the impact that sector has on the economy. So that is also one section which a GDP doesn't reflect.
Okay, okay. So now off late, we have all seen there's a lot of push in terms of getting the manufacturing sector to do well, right? There's investment, there's a PLI schemes, and many things that have happened. Um, is that a good idea? Because we are doing very well in the services sector in India. India is known as a service economy. Should we leave that? Is that like, have we squeezed enough out of that towel, or what's your perspective?
Just focusing on one sector is not something which is ideal. We cannot completely overlook services just because we start focusing on manufacturing. Moreover, sir, the future also holds great importance for service sector where AI and information of IoT, Internet of Things, sorry, so and information technology in general will be the drivers of economy. However, sir, manufacturing, which was traditionally ignored or overlooked during the transition from an agricultural country to a service-oriented country, is now being the main focus. It is also a case of focus because a large number of working age population is available, which can be utilized as a demographic dividend to increase our manufacturing capabilities, as manufacturing can absorb a high labor which comes from agricultural sector when the economy moves. So in that perspective as well, we need both manufacturing as well as service sector instead of just one of them.
A lot of people say that we have missed the manufacturing bus, that, China is already way ahead. Vietnam and other Asian countries have very, very attractive labor rates. Do you think as a country, there's more than what our demographic dividend is, right? So what else can we do to promote this? Are we doing all the right things, or is there anything else we need to do?
So I wouldn't say we completely missed the bus. Yes, we have been delayed in certain aspects. And going forward, various initiatives such as the production linked initiative or trying to become part of the global supply chain, attracting network products into the country to be manufactured, for example, the iPhone manufacturing and assembly in India. All of these will eventually lead to more. And as India starts growing, sir, there would be more and more demand for infrastructure, as it can be seen from the increased capital expenditure. So that also has a multiplier effect on the manufacturing sector, where various ancillaries would come up of the main infrastructure branch. And there could be increase in steel, manufacturing, aluminium, various other inputs which are used. So overall, manufacturing is not only for uh, exporting it, but even for the internal consumption as well as rise, we must focus on manufacturing sector.
You have, Ananya, you have an interest in stock market, right? So tell me, from manufacturing sector, what companies or industries will you put money? Will you advise me to put money?
So in manufacturing, a company which is looking into the renewable sector, probably looking into the solar panel manufacturing, or if in infrastructure terms, we see companies which are into metals, minings, steel. These can be seen. And in manufacturing, so textile, there are various textile companies which are very undervalued as of today and are increasing their production as well as export capacity, so that can also be seen from investment perspective.
And is that something you would invest in, or you would put your money somewhere else?
So I have myself also invested in some of these companies which are related to metals, mining, as well as textile.
Yeah. Can I ask what percentage of your portfolio is in manufacturing?
So it would be around 18 to 20% of my
Okay.
portfolio.
So that would be your advice. 20% on marketing, manufacturing. How much in services?
So around similar, so 20, 25, 30% is in services as well.
And where does the rest go?
So various other sectors, say luxury items, a demand of real estate could increase. So in real estate companies and so on.
Okay. One last question. You also are into high intensity training, right? Is that the same thing as Tabata, or is Tabata different?
So Tabata is a type of high intensity interval training, which is usually shorter than the general HIIT exercises. It is of 4 minutes, which includes 8 cycles of 20 seconds exercise and 10-second rest. It could be repeated more times, say 8 minutes, 16 minutes, but the first cycle can be finished even in 4 minutes.
Okay. And why does high intensity training work? And what's the benefit of high intensity training? Then, in India, everybody goes for a walk, right? That's our favorite, exercise, right? Everyone is like, okay, I'll go for a walk, right? What is the benefit of doing something like HIT versus going for a walk, in your opinion?
So, from what I have realized personally, HIIT makes me more energetic. If I do it in the morning, I am energetic throughout the day. Versus a walk is, for my personal preference, mostly for leisure or recreation. If I want to go to a park and observe, it helps in mobility, no doubt, but it is not an extensive exercise for me. Similarly, it has been pointed out by various research that HIIT is good for cardiovascular health. So it has a greater impact on our body as compared to medium range intensity exercises such as walking.
So, what is your advice to the middle-aged and the old people of India who always go out for walks? What should they do?
So I would suggest a modified version of HIIT. There are various newer forms which are coming up, which are more less intense, more moderate. They are similar to walking, but they also have these intervals where 20 seconds is extensive, like hard walking stance, and then 10 seconds of slower walks, and then again 20 seconds. So something like that can be incorporated, and it could have a greater result.
Okay. Okay. All right, Ananya, it was good, very nice. I liked the whole interview. I think you have your disposition is very calming, which is an excellent thing, right? So I think keep that, and your you pause, you have a composure about you. The pace was perfect. So I'll give you a 10 on 10 on soft skills. That is, you don't have to worry about it. I think you do come across measured, and that's kind of your style, right? So I don't think you have to jump with joy or do something or shake your head or raise your arms or do anything else. I think that's completely keep it the way it is. Um, I think your answers also were very good in terms of the way you reason, right? The way you argue your point, it was good. I just want to see some more facts like data. And I
Hmm.
think that is universally true about all your answers. I think they were very good, but with the right amount of data thrown in, they could go from good to great.
So,
Okay, like your waste management, the same thing, right? If you say, okay, this is what is happening in urbanization, X% is affected by this, or solid water, we can go to wipe, whatever, right? So I think the relevant facts, and
hmm.
obviously you are smart enough to pick the relevant ones and not just like bombard numbers. That's so pick the ones that are good
So,
um, in general. And then the other thing I would say is don't be shy to call out accountabilities. Even it is good not to have not to be highly opinionated or just take sides in a fight, which I tried to nudge you a little bit on so many questions. I was like, okay, is there a missing political will? Or I tried to move you. I think you stayed steadfast, which is good, but I think it is also needed to call out accountabilities. Okay, so I think you can say that yes, I do agree that we're trying many things, but the government lacks a comprehensive plan, and this is why I asked you the second time the same question, and you took us two times to bring out the real thing, right? So I
yes.
think Delhi air pollution is a question. Nobody is interested in solutions now because everyone knows about the solution,
Hmm.
right? The
Yes.
only thing is why those solutions are not working because clearly those solutions are not working, right?
Hmm.
So I think that goes one level deeper in your understanding that some solutions don't work. Why? Because there is a lack of comprehensive nature. And why is that? So ask three whys. I always do the three whys thing. The three whys you will get you to the answer. So ask why is there no comprehensive plan? Is there a will missing? Is there so in a lot of governments around the world, they say that political will usually is missing or kind of playing sort of subdued role because uh, there's a 4 to 5 year term that the government is in power, and environmental cycles are a lot longer.
Hmm. So,
The other thing is, I think the climate numbers, just check them. I'm not sure whether 40% renewables is accurate. Just check that number. India has a significant coal and gas dependency, which is also rising. So while it is good to be on the positive side, saying, okay, renewables are, and you are absolutely right, solar is the way to go. That is totally, I'll send you a document actually. Have you read that India Energy Outlook? There's a document that comes out, and you will just like you have time till 28 March. Read that. It's a little dated. You might find the latest one on the internet, but
I will.
uh,
I will go through.
yeah. So I think it's important to get the exact because you have done environmental engineering. You stay in Delhi.
Yes.
There is a high potential chance that they will ask you about environmental things, and climate change and these kinds of things. Climate hypocrisy is a concept. It's not my words. It is actually a climate hypocrisy is a phrase that is out there, and you should look it up. It
Mm.
basically says that the developed nations made this mess, but now they're asking the developing nations to fix it. That's the core. Okay. Now there are many things that go, multiple levels deeper. Is that where is the carbon coming from? Um, you did mention animal husbandry towards the end. But what is now emerging in the West is animal husbandry is a key part, methane is a key part of
Mm.
climate global warming. So just do a little bit of a, I think you need a revision. See, the way you approach the answer, I really like that. Because eventually in these interviews, they're not testing whether you have the absolute accurate answer because it's very difficult for one person to know everything. But what
Mm.
they're checking is your approach. How are you slicing and dicing the problem and problem solving?
Yes.
But that said, because you are from environments, you may not be excused if you don't have the accurate numbers. You may be excused if you don't have the accurate numbers in economics or some other thing, right? I really liked your answer of Human Development Index and your GDP, how you um, did that. In the if you are in our group interview group, just scroll back a little bit. I had put in a something by which APJ Abdul Kalam wrote in his book Beyond 2020. It's called calls it the Development Societal Radar, which is exactly the same thing. Is like access to health, access to education, access to basic necessities, how they see the entire lens of societal development. And so your core thing was that economics is economics, but eventually we are concerned about societal development. That was your link. I do agree with Satyam. You could have been a little more specific in what does GDP does not describe. For
Mm.
example, unemployment.
Mm.
Inequality is definitely one. Okay. It doesn't describe, so per capita, even per capita, GDP per capita does not really depict inequality because it just gives you an average.
Mm.
So GDP does not even have the information GDP per capita provides. So I think many things just like, these are conceptual questions
Yes.
more than anything
I will.
else. So I think just needs a revision.
Mm.
Um, what else? I think, yeah. So the manufacturing services sector, that's also again a problem solving kind of question because nobody knows the real truth. India is betting big on manufacturing through many investments, PLI schemes, and things like that. Um, some people say that that bus has left and we cannot board that bus anymore. But that was a good answer from you. I think overall, Ananya, I think you need a little bit of insertion of data
Sure.
and calling a spade where
Sure.
you can. Okay, I'm not saying like, don't go all ballistic and, start
Mm.
hitting people with a
Yes.
cricket bat. But
Sure.
I think do that a little bit and then I think it'll just like be top notch. Okay. And
Understood.
I will find out from Ram your ID and I'll get him to send the India Energy Outlook to you.
I will
Uh,
also search for it. So.
yeah, it's available. It's a download, but only thing it's very dense and it has some 20-30 pages. But you are an environment student, so you will be able to see that and quickly skim the thing.
Sure.
We
Thank
didn't go too much deeper into international events. But
you. Mm.
here's what I generally tell everyone who goes for an interview is five top 5 problems of your community, of your state, of your nation, and the world. These things you keep revising and keep like one page for each, and keep them in your pocket when you're going out. Just between now and 28th, all you have to do is just revise the things. And the world climate change is definitely one. AI is the other thread, which Israel Palestine, Russia Ukraine, emergence of China, majoritarianism. These are some threads. Again, if you go back in our Telegram, I have some posts that you can see where I have given some details, but the, these are things you should revise and keep it ready. And then,
Yes.
yeah, the best thing is the foundations are there, your approach to answer is there, your soft skills are there. Just need to add the icing on the cake, right? So,
Thank you.
best of luck, right?
Thank you.
I think it's you. I really felt good after having the conversation, because that it just makes you feel that yes, you have studied, right? So that's very clear that you have gone into the details, you have studied, you have looked at it, and that makes me feel good, because then you can layer in things later. But if the foundations are not there, it's difficult to layer. So I think totally all the best. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks.